Okay, I hear you what you're saying about the kid, but we got to remember something. It's they're a kid. They're not emotionally mature at our level. They handle it like kids, and I have said it for the longest time. Teenagers are a-holes, and I'm not just saying these days and all this other stuff. No, I did some pretty a-holish things when I was a teenager. And I grew out of it. We got to remember they are teenagers. This hindsight could be very, poetic for you when you're an adult and go, "Ooh, you're very." Yeah, you was too. This is the part where we always say, "Give grace." You wasn't this. You was just nice, polite, and respectful your whole teenage years.
To adults, yep. But I'm not judging him by me. I'm
Huh.
not. I'm
But
just saying. Anyway, go ahead.
anyway, so here's where I'm coming off with this kid. Because he's already looking at it as you abandoned me for a year. I'm still willing to, and kudos to the mom. If you want to build a relationship with your father, I'm cool with it. Okay, I still want to build a relationship with my dad. So he already had a parental right to just like, nah, I'm done with this and everything else. But the mom's like, if you want to, I have no problem with it. Go spend the night over there, get to know your dad. Here's where everything fall off the cliff for me. The stepmom stepping in, saying the whole evangelical mumbo jumbo that we done heard for a while now to this kid. And the only thing I can think of is, where the heck did you just come from? I don't even know you. You married to my dad. That's the gist of how much I know about you. Is that you married to my dad and you live in this house? And yet you're gonna start off this whole conversation with, okay, let me go ahead and start censoring what you can read, not what you can bring into this house, because that's an entirely different conversation we can have that would take us to an entirely different path. But he even asks, so even if your wife says I can't read these type of books, even if I'm not in your house, would you agree with her on that? And he said, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, this is not going to work. I just won't be coming back over to your. But we got to remember, he has that right too. You can. There is always. There's always an action. There's always a consequence. They're not always even or equal, but there is always an action, always a consequence, or action reaction, I should say, not a consequence. I don't want to say
Well,
consequence. That means it's
consequence works sometimes too.
but there's always an
But
action, there's always a reaction. You take whatever action that you take, the reaction may or may not be in your favor.
yeah, I just don't. I don't personally feel like a 16-year-old should be empowered past a certain point. So, as your father, unless
You
I don't,
said
I
that
mean, now granted,
before. What's the power that he's at that she's doing? Because all she said is you can't censor what I read.
no, 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 no. That part, whatever. But you take that up with your dad, and you take that up with your mom. You just blow this lady off when she says that. Because she's talking about a book. She ain't take the book from him. She's just spouting her religious mumbo jumbo, right? But you get mad at what they say to you, so you just storm out the house and go home. I'm sorry, that's not acceptable behavior. Not over something like this. You know what I'm saying? Now, if they trying to force you into something or they trying to touch you in some way, then you leave. You'll do your thing, right? But this is someone told you something you didn't want to hear, and because you don't respect them on that particular level, you just stomp out the house and go back to your mom's house. That's a childish response. He's a child. So if we say that, fine, because he's a child, he did something childish, now we got to make sure we'll hold him in a child's place. And I said the reactions are wrong, and it should be called out. I'm not that new age cat who sits there and says, "Well, you have to meet them where they are and find out, what's troubling them, and maybe we can work our way forward from there and reach a mutual understanding." It's a time and a place for that. This isn't necessarily the place to me.